Sama-sama sebagai negara agraris, kerjasama bilateral Indonesia dengan Brasil kini semakin kuat di tengah ancaman krisis pangan global. Apa saja kemitraan strategis yang terjalin antara kedua negara untuk mengatasi dampak krisis pangan dunia? Berikut diskusi Sufiani Tanjung, Koresponden CNN Indonesia dengan Jean Marcel Fernandes, kepala delegasi Kementerian Pertanian Brasil di sela-sela kegiatan Agriculture Minister Meeting negara G20 di Jimbaran, Bali.
Sebagai negara produsen terbesar di Amerika Latin, Brasil ternyata tidak luput dari bayang-bayang ancaman krisis pangan global. Lantas seperti apa hubungan Indonesia dengan Brasil sebagai negara agraris yang sudah menjalin kerjasama sejak dulu dan juga kian mempererat kerjasama strategis terutama terkait penanganan ancaman krisis pangan secara global? Saya akan membahasnya dengan kepala delegasi Kementerian Pertanian Brasil, Jean Marcel Fernandes. Good afternoon, Jean.
Good afternoon, Sophie.
How are you?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm fine. Perfect. Thank you so much for having CNN Indonesia to talk and have a discussion about our relation between two countries. So, do you think Indonesia and Brazil have the same, like the common issue with the global crisis nowadays?
Yes, I do think. I think we share some similar views regarding these issues and many others. And it's because although we are very far from away countries, we have like similar population. The population is more or less the same, and we have similar challenges as well. So I think that's why we can share some views that our views are very similar.
How deep the relation between Indonesia and Brazil in terms of the agriculture sector?
I would say it has never been so intense. Recently, your minister have come to Brazil, Minister Limpo, visited our minister there, and then 1 month after, our minister Marcos Montes came to Indonesia and visited him here. So this is something very special. We have never had two high-level visits in so short period of time. And I think from these visits they could advance in many subjects, and now our relations are very intense.
So what kind of product that Brazil need from Indonesia and vice versa? Indonesia need Brazil also?
Brazil actually nowadays imports a lot of palm oil, coconut and some other products, but I think there's still room for much more. Indonesian fruits are delicious. We could import more fruits from Indonesia, for example. We could import fish from Indonesia. And from the Brazilian side, we already export many products, and we are planning to sell more, especially protein. So we're talking about beef and we're talking about chicken, for example.
So what would be the future of both country relation in terms of the export, import, and also all the agriculture sector? Because nowadays all the countries are facing the threat of the global crisis of food, insecurity in food. So do you think we can make the tie more tightly than ever, or?
I think the best way to face food insecurity is with more trade, open trade. And both Brazil and Indonesia are in favor of open trade, especially in agriculture. So I think if we trade more, we fight food insecurity better. As soon as you have more providers, for example, of food, prices will be lower and your population will have access to food at lower prices. Brazil is a very reliable supplier of food. Even during pandemic, it has never impeded any kind of export. We had never had any restrictions for exports, and we are not planning to do that. So Brazil is a reliable partner. This is for trade. But regarding other matters, I think we can advance in other areas, for example, cooperation as well in agriculture.
Will your country invest in our country in terms of the agriculture sector?
Yes, we are already investing here. There are some Brazilians that produce in Indonesia, and this was a subject of discussions between the two ministers to explore new opportunities for investments from both sides. And we are spreading the word in Brazil. This is a private sector decision, of course, but I imagine in the future we will have more Brazilians producing in Indonesia.
Our minister told specifically about the sugar production because Brazil is the biggest producer in the world, right? So the transfer of technology, how does it happen? It's already happened or will continue or?
Yes, I think we have two possible ways of transferring technology. One is with cooperation, sharing the experience we have in sugar production in Brazil, which will be certainly very useful here because our climates are similar. We have similar climate conditions, and also with private sector investments. So when a sugar producer, for example, come here to produce in Indonesia, he's bringing his knowledge of production in Brazil to your country. So I think these are the two ways of transferring technology.
Okay, about the G20 forum, what is the use of this forum to fight for the insecurity in food crisis right now?
This forum is key for coordination positions to fight food insecurity. I think it's the main topic that's being discussed now. All countries agree that we need more commerce, that we need to fight food insecurity, especially for countries that cannot produce much food and more vulnerable to food insecurity. So I think we, the G20, gathered the main producers of food in the world. So these countries have a responsibility of thinking about how to feed the world. And Brazil is ready to take its position and its responsibility. And we favor dialogue in forums like this, and I think it's very important to coordinate positions.
Okay, the last question will be the cooperation between Indonesia and Brazil in terms of fight the food insecurity in the near future.
Yes, I think there are many areas we can cooperate right now and others that we can explore in the future. You mentioned, for example, sugar. We are talking to Indonesia to help develop vaccines for cattle, for example, to fight some disease, and production of many other products for bovine genetics, for example, is another area of possible cooperation. So there are already many areas for cooperation, and I'm sure the ministers recently signed an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that will be the legal guide for exploring new cooperation possibilities in the future.
Okay, nice. Thank you so much for this kind of nice discussion and very deep. Thank you. Hope you enjoy Bali.
Thank you very much.
And stay healthy. Dan demikianlah diskusi saya dengan Kepala Delegasi Kementerian Pertanian dari Brasil, Jean Marcel Fernandes. Terima kasih dan sampai jumpa.